Well, so we're here to look at the discussions and the most topical of issues that many of you are thinking about in the public space, but also across your social media platforms and the mainstream media. I have here with me lawyer Abraham Amaliba. He's a member of the NDC's legal team, but currently I have to put this designation on him. He is the aspiring member of parliament for Boga Central, and he's here. They'll be going for the primaries as a party on November 7, but we're hearing that there could be some changes, etc. But we don't know. It hasn't been confirmed. It's all got to do with the register of the NDC that has been compiled more recently. And apparently, there are fears that there could be some names in there which should not be. Is it true, Abraham?
Let me say good morning. But currently, the register is being exhibited.
Oh, okay.
So there's a 1-week period for exhibition. You have every right to go and check the register. If your name is not included, even though you registered, there's a form you fill, send it to Accra, they'll fill it. Or if you find somebody's name there who is not supposed to be there, whose name is not supposed to be there, meaning that it's not a member of the NDC, you can also fill a protest form. So this exercise is ongoing. Until that, we will not be able to determine whether the register is bloated or it's not bloated.
So what about the concerns being expressed? Because even before some of these concerns, there were issues about some names in there which perhaps may not be necessarily be sympathizers of the NDC or even belong to your political party.
Yeah, we heard about those accusations. We heard that during the registration processes, some people went out to register non-NDC members so as to get them in to vote for certain candidates because they thought that the candidates were no more longer popular within the NDC. So in order to eliminate that, in order to ensure that the register is purged of those names, that's why the exhibition is there. The 1-week period has been provided for the exhibition so that if you think that there's a name or there's somebody who has found his name in there and that person is not supposed to be there, you can protest by filling a protest form.
Okay, great. I don't know, I made some personal observations myself. I noticed that in some constituencies that I'm very close to, for example, those that I tend to monitor a lot, because Ashaiman, Tema West, and things like that, I saw that some of the candidates who were interested parties, or let's say who are going to be part of the election, were very much involved in the registration process, or let's say supported somehow. We're very much interested in who gets to be on the register and things like that. Could it be some of the causes? Because they are candidate or they would be candidates.
No, two things. If you are a candidate and you encourage party members to go and vote, that is no problem. But if you are a candidate and you encourage non-party members to go and vote, to go and register, then that's where the problem is. But because you have an interest in the outcome of the election, there's nothing wrong with encouraging people of the NDC family to go and register so that on the 7th of November, if elections are held, they will vote for you. That is no problem. But the problem has to do with those candidates who were alleged to be hiring people to go and to register non-NDC members. That is where the problem is. Yes.
In your constituency, how many non-NDC members do you think you have?
I heard allegations that somehow those things were going on. And indeed, after the period provided for registration was over, some people were still registering. But I was comforted when I called the national headquarters to complain, and they told me that all those registration processes will not find their way into the system. Once it has been closed, that ended. And so in my constituency, these were the problem. But there were also allegations that some of the people who were going around registering the NDC supporters went their way beyond registering NDC and registering non-NDC members to be part of it. That allegation too was there. Yeah.
My last but two question. We noticed that, for example, the national register, the one used by the EC for our many elections, is not synchronized or it's not networked. So you have constituency. It's not as if they have one database for which, if you do a scan, it's by constituency.
Yes.
Is this the same for yours?
In our case, it's branch by branch. So if you registered...
So it means you can have multiple registrations?
No. If you registered in one branch, your name would appear in that branch. So indeed, the source of registration is your voter ID card, the EC voter ID card. The information on your EC voter ID card would be transferred into a system that will indicate the branch in which you find yourself. So, you know, every person who registers to vote and has an ID card, national ID card, national EC ID card, would go and vote at a polling station. For us, the polling stations are called the branches. So it is branch. So as it is now, today as we speak, the voter register for the NDC is being exhibited at the branch levels, not at the constituency level, or not at the ward level, but at the branch.
So does it make it easier then to pinpoint who is in, who should have been?
Good, because it is at that small level, people know each other and know who belongs to which political party.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you very much, and I wish you well in your elections.
We
know that all things being equal, should be 7th of November, 2015, and you are contesting with the current incumbents.
Yeah, there are three others apart from me. You have Opam Brown, who is an incumbent. You have George Gamson, and then you have Isaac Adongo. Right. So we are 4 in number.
I wish you well. And let's look at this. A High Court judge, Justice Asiedu, was implicated in the bribery scandal, but he has been set free. And the Chief Justice has to dismiss a petition brought by Tiger PI. And the Chief Justice also in a statement said the allegation brought by the company were insufficient. What do you make of this? Because following this, we've had the composition of a new 5-member committee again.
Some background information will do on this judge. This judge was a circuit court judge, but elevated to the High Court at the beginning of this year. He was elevated at the time that the appointing authorities were not privy to this anastip. Don't forget that anastip came just last month, but he was promoted way back early this year. And so the issue of his petition had to go to the president. Unlike his colleagues at the circuit court, whose matter was dealt with by the Chief Justice, because at that level, the Chief Justice has direct supervisory disciplinary control over the circuit court. And so there was, and when the petition was sent to the president referred it to the Chief Justice. The Chief Justice's responsibility is to establish a prima facie case. For our viewer, what is a prima facie case? A prima facie case simply means that a case has been made against you. Now, come and open your defense. That means there's enough evidence to suggest that you committed the act. As a result, you'll be given an opportunity to defend yourself. So in other words, in our local panel, they will say, come and remove your mouth.
But you are no.
But you are no. So that is the process that after its conclusion, the judge was freed.
Okay.
So the Chief Justice establishment of prima facie case turned out that the evidence available was not enough to warrant him to appear before the larger committee to then defend himself. Don't forget that some judges have been referred to the larger committee. And so the prima facie case, the test is whether or not enough evidence have been adduced to warrant you as an accused person or as a suspect, to warrant you to open your defense. Yes, there may be evidence that you have done something, but that evidence is not substantial enough to warrant that you appear before a committee. So at that stage, he was left to go scot-free.
Okay. So there was something, but it was not enough.
It's not enough to implicate him and those things. Sometimes you hear that, there were irregularities in an election, but it's not substantial to call for the overturning of the result.
Just like, let's say, okay, I don't want to talk about the register. So now, just give me some education, since you also tend to teach the subject of the law sometimes and have been practicing. Let's say now the Chief Justice has now composited a new committee, 5-member committee, to deal with 3 other judges. Who are those? Those are...
No. You see, what people don't know is that the number of judges whose conduct is being discussed now are just a few of them in the whole. there are some more judges that we've not heard of, but they are being looked at. This committee is not going to look at the 12 that you already know. This is another set of judges whose conduct,
all linked to this very investigation.
Matter investigation. There are so many of them. So, as and when the Chief Justice is satisfied that, because she reviews the tape, and as and when she's satisfied, she will set up a committee to look into it. So, this committee is not going to look at the Jonas Jet Nasems, the who and who that we know. It's another set of judges.
Okay.
Yes.
And who are those set of judges? Not their names necessarily. And why should they be looked at separately?
No, it is all about the Anas tape.
Okay.
But I'm sure the tape is so voluminous that the Chief Justice have to serialize it one after the other. So there are a lot more judges in the net.
Okay. Now, for a committee that's supposed to look at issues of the law, etc., we're going to have a 5-member composition. And apparently 2 justices of the Court of Appeal appointed by the Judicial Council, and 2 other persons appointed on the advice of the Council of State, who are neither members of the Council of State, nor members of Parliament, nor lawyers. What does it mean? Why should we have non-lawyers looking at issues affecting the judiciary? I mean, for my ordinary mind.
That is the Constitution. It's a constitutional provision. The Constitution has indicated the composition of the membership of that committee. Don't forget that the issue of removing a judge and unstated misbehavior is a matter of national interest. And you've heard about the hullabaloo that has erupted after the Anas tape. It's a matter that needs the whole society to discuss it. Now, these non-2 judges, non-lawyers, 2 non-lawyers, are persons of high repute, just that they are not lawyers or judges. Our legal system is also structured in such a way as to allow laymen to partake in the adjudication process. So sometimes, when there's a trial by jury, you have a judge and 7 non-lawyers who are panel members and who are jurors. The essence is to allow non-legal minds, to allow laymen to partake in the adjudication process. And that makes it complete, because then the people will own the process and feel that justice has been done. So this provision in the Constitution just goes to feed into the principle that much as the law is for the lawyers and people who have been trained to do so, let's allow laymen to also partake in the adjudication process.
Great.
Yeah.
All right. So at the end of the day, we hope to see justice being served. But it also means that not everybody who has been mentioned embodied around.
Sure. And that is why.
So what sort of disservice have we done then?
No. Whilst driving here, a radio station called to say whether this judge can take legal action against
they called
Anas. You? Yes.
Okay. They wanted some interpretation
on it.
Okay.
So it's a similar matter. They wanted to know whether then, after he has been freed, whether it's possible for Tiger PI to be sued. I said no. Only if the judge can only succeed if the judge can show that the exercise conducted by Anas and his people
and Tiger PI,
yes, was there was malice, and that it was born out of malice. It was born out of hatred for him. It was born out of dislike for him. Because this is an exercise.
So in reference or in inference, you're saying if, let's say, they were targeted specifically.
If they were targeted.
Okay. To either tarnish their credibility or reputation.
Yes.
Okay.
Because clearly, this was an exercise in the national interest. It was an exercise to ensure that we uproot corruption and deal with corruption in the judiciary. So the judge can only succeed if he sues Anas, if he can show that Anas hated him, disliked him, and that the videoing was born out of malice. So he has to go specifically to show, for instance, he must show that, and this is just an example, that he and Anas are chasing the same girl, and because they go to meet there every evening, Anas wants to use that tape to get him out,
or
and
discredit him.
No, to discredit him, or even if he succeeds, imprison him so that every evening he alone can be going there. You get the point?
That's a scenario.
Yeah, it's a scenario. So that is a way by which he can succeed. But if not, it will be difficult for him to successfully sue Anas, because this is an exercise in the national interest, and I'm not sure, even under the Whistleblower Act, where he has been granted immunity, I don't think you can take that action against him.
Okay, now let's move on to the substantive, and I believe we have about 28 minutes to deal with this. The Electoral Commission's forum to discuss whether the country needs a new voters register will take center stage today. Do you know where it's being staged?
I'm told Alisa Hotel.
Will you be there?
I have my own lecture today. I'm at the University of Cape Coast on corruption.
Oh.
At 2 o'clock with your former colleague, Kojo Opon Nkrumah, on the other side. So after this program, I'll be...
You're going straight to University of Cape. I think I saw your poster on the front page of the university. Yes. Okay, so various viewpoints from various political parties, civil society, and individuals are expected to be presented and debated. Already, we've had the Let My Vote Count Alliance, the pressure group. They've been on demonstration. We know what came out of, but we essentially know the objective why they went for that very demonstration. And just yesterday, we had the Coalition for the Defense of Equal Citizenship, CODEC, as they call themselves, also convening a protest march, so to speak, just also for the non-alteration or perhaps the non-compilation of a new voters register. We've had criticism, especially coming from the MPP, that this very forum, in essence, was very much unnecessary.
I find it difficult for a player in our political elections to dictate to the referee how he should manage the game.
You are not saying that whatever activity or actions of the supervisory agency, which is the Electoral Commission, is sacrosanct. Is that what you're saying?
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that if you are being invited into the field to play, there are rules governing the game. You don't dictate to the referee that if your teammate catches the ball and is running away, it shouldn't be a foul. But if the other one runs away with the ball holding it, it's a foul.
Or at least they can express their opinion.
That's what I'm saying, that you don't do that. The EC has called for proposals. Now, all political parties have sent their proposals to the EC. The EC is saying that I'm going to create a platform for you to come and debate those proposals.
For whose benefit?
To the benefit of the EC, so as to ensure that the decision they come out with will be accepted by all. Now I'm hearing Nana Akomya saying that this is unnecessary. That's why you have just re-echoed, and that they have sent a proposal to the EC showing names of non-Ghanaians. So what the EC should do is just to investigate what they have said. And I find that a bit arrogant, because you don't go into the EC's office to tell them what they should do. It's like me coming here, you are going to mic me, and I tell you that put the mic on my forehead, when there are rules of micing people in this studio. So you've sent your proposals. Leave the agency to deal with the matter. There are different ways of arriving at the same conclusion. You say that they should just investigate your allegations. The EC also thinks that it can ask for a debate on your proposals. All will arrive at the same conclusion, which is whether to change the register or not to change the register. I find the MPPs trying to dictate to the EC on how to go about this as an arrogant position. And I don't think that that is acceptable. Today and tomorrow, the forum is being created. They should go there. Indeed, rather than even dictating to the EC from outside, they can state that position in their paper today. And the EC would reply them as to why they are organizing that platform.
How is the MPP's position? And on your side, your interpretation of the actions of the MPP as being dictatorial towards the supervisory body, the EC, different from yours, when you also are taking a hardline position that it's not necessary to compile a new voters register?
Oh, no.
Are you also not dictating to the EC?
I'm not talking about the various positions. As for the various positions, there would always be positions. It is this various positions that has culminated into this platform.
You're talking about the description or the stance of the MPP that this is very much unnecessary.
Exactly. I'm talking about that. And it's as if to say that once they have sent their proposals there, they should then be allowed also to tell the EC how the issue should deal with their proposal. That's what they are saying. Yet we have a body that is responsible for that. But as for the positions, both parties still stand on their position. Our position is clearly that a new register is not coterminous with a credible register. It's not. The fact that it's a new register does not mean that the register...
And inherent in your proposal
is that
the argument that...
is that this current register should be purged, should be audited. And if there are names, I've always said that I'll commend the MPP for doing the kind of work that they did by bringing up names of alleged persons who are not supposed to be in the register. I thought that the MPP would advise other political parties to also do same, and we all bring up names of those who are alleged to be wrongly in the register. But clearly, they are saying that once they have found those names, it calls for a change. And I'm saying that if we change the register today, can they guarantee that minors will not be in the register?
Why not? You have position of, or coming from a position of hindsight, you know that consistently over the years, we've had minors registering. So now we can police better.
So, no minor in his house gets up to go and register.
I don't understand your point.
I'm saying that nobody...
You mean they are supported by either their guardians or parents or people in the community to go and register?
And we know in this country that political parties are behind those things in their strongholds. So it is attitudinal. Change your attitude. Political parties, change your attitude. Stop basing minors to go and register. If you bring in a new register today, and in the registration process leading up to the new register, a political party bases children or encourages children to go and register, would that new register be credible?
Well, the very reason why the MPP says there should be a new register, so that you, whatever concerns you're raising that it could happen, would not happen. So that no political party then would then be basing people, whether they are minors or not, foreigners or not, to go to a registration area and and have their names in the national register.
How do you stop that? How do you stop a political party from basing minors to go and register? There's no art to find the mine's construction on the face.
If you see a minor, you can't know.
I'm saying that you can't tell what the political parties will do.
Right, I get your point. The Electoral Commission is having this very forum, but before then we had the Institute of Economic Affairs also convening a forum such as this, for which the NDC decided not to participate because they felt that it was preempting the actions of the Electoral Commission. And it was towards a credible and peaceful 2016 elections. And they came out with some recommendations that it was agreed that there are irregularities with the current register. And also, too, the Electoral Commission should demonstrate proactiveness and leadership on this important national issue. It should engage the services of a competent, credible, and external organization to conduct independent investigation into allegations of bribery. And 3, it was agreed that there was the absence of a single codified body on laws dealing with electoral offenses in Ghana. And 4, the cost implications of auditing the existing voters register or compiling a new register should not take away from steps to provide a credible and acceptable register for the 2016 election. This is because the cost of managing a national crisis resulting from a flawed electoral process would be potentially higher than that of having an acceptable register. And 5, which is their last recommendation, Ghana should renew its effort towards an authentic national identification system for citizens. Very soon, we'll be having on the line Dr. Edward Akwe, He's a researcher with the governance unit of the Institute of Economic Affairs. But that's very important. The fourth point from the IEA forum says that the cost of auditing the new voters register or compiling a new one should not deter us from doing what is right. Because if there's a crisis, indeed, it will become more insurmountable as far as we're concerned in trying to quench or perhaps cool heads when there's a conflict situation.
Yeah, what is right is right. And so we should all strive to do what is right. What is right does not mean changing the register. What is right does not also mean purging the register off. What is right is in the estimation of an institution. What is right is in the bosom of the EC. So when the EC comes out with what is right, people and all political parties should fall in line. If what is right per the determination of EC is to change a voter register, I expect my political party to go along with it.
You seem to know what the EC would think.
No, I'm saying that what is right, and there are two views here. What is right is going to be one of the views.
Okay, you're saying the EC could take one of them.
And if the EC takes one of them, I'm saying that we should all fall in line. There shouldn't be an entrenched position. This country is bigger than any of the two political parties.
What's the problem with the NDC having a newly compiled register?
I have just told you, it does not guarantee a credible register. It does not guarantee that foreigners will not be in the register.
Beyond that argument, what's your fear?
It is, why should it be beyond that argument? Because that is the argument they are putting forward to support their claim for a register. Let them bring another argument. They are talking about, look, one after the other, I can shoot down the argument. See, they are talking about use of NHI cards, meaning that those who use those cards, because that card is available to anybody, whether Ghanaian or non-Ghanaian, it is possible that non-Ghanaians register.
Which is true. It's very much plausible.
Yes. But I, sitting here, I have an NHI card, I have a driver's license, passport, and I can even, birth certificate, I can even get just two people, because the rules require that any two person can identify you and you will be registered. You know that. Any two people, without any documentation. On that day, I picked my NHI card, not because I didn't have the other cards, because it was immediately available. I go use it to register. Somebody now tells me that because I use I'm not a Ghanaian. I'm saying that one after the other, all the arguments can be shut down.
Indeed, they convened a press conference in which they showed pictorially pictures that seemed to have been captured from another place and put onto the National Register, or put into a database they termed the National Register, making comparisons with that very register or database with that of the Togolese register. Could be a scenario we also need to be making strong considerations of.
See, they are talking about Togo register and Ghana register. We all know that Ghana's register was compiled long before the Togo register. So if people have their names in the two registers, your first disposition will be what? They are Ghanaians who rather went to Togo to cause the mischief.
You're saying it could be one of their dispositions.
Yes, your natural instincts will tell you that. Because this was compiled.
So you're saying it rather should be this way.
It should be this way.
Not the other argument.
Not the other way. Because ours was compiled first before the Togo register. They have their names in both. What will be your natural, logical argument? That see Ghanaians who are in Togo register and not see Togolese who are in Ghana register. And in any case, who is a Ghanaian is not determined by a voter register.
Okay.
Who is a Ghanaian is determined by
that
the
point
national
that
constitution.
Consistently the MPP legal brains as well as the communicator have been raising. What do you mean by that? Who is a Ghanaian is not determined by who?
A national, an EC register. It is determined by the laws of this country. And when you read the portion on the Citizenship Act, and then you read the provision in the Constitution on citizenship. It clearly states that if one of your grandparents is a Ghanaian, then you are qualified to be a Ghanaian.
Okay. We have on the line Dr. Edward Akwe. He's a researcher with the governance unit of the Economic Affairs, that's the Institute of Economic Affairs. Now, a very good morning to you, Dr. Akwe. Now, following those recommendations that you issued in a press statement after that very forum you convened, which was addressed by Professor Michael Quay, a former Deputy Speaker of Parliament at Ransford Jampo, who is a political science lecturer, a senior political science lecturer at the University of Ghana. You stated that the cause implications of auditing, which is for the existing voters register, compiling a new register, should not take away from steps to provide a credible and acceptable register for the 2016 general election. What did you mean by that, sir?
Well, I think as the nation has to consider for the 2016 election, it's just guided by passing period. And voters that go into the upcoming election with no doubt about arrangements that have to be, or have to clear in our mind about arrangements that have to be to ensure that we don't leave in a stone untested to everything that would support the
Hello, sir.
Hello, can you hear me?
We seem to be having muffling in your voice, so I guess we have to call you back. The line doesn't seem to be technically so good, so we'll call you back. And you were making a point. Now, as far as we're concerned, how then do we come to a consensus on the subject of whoever registers to vote in Ghana or not? Because at the end of the day, of course, if you're a Ghanaian, but let's say you're on a student scholarship or you're a student and you go to the UK, once you have the permit to go to school and you have whatever the necessary papers, you can vote in the general elections. I do understand all that. But it doesn't pertain to our system, does it?
And that's why I'm surprised that even you have some MPP members who go to London, UK, and vote, and yet they have their names in a register. They are the more vociferous people in this matter. The mischief. Dual citizenship. But what you describe is not dual citizenship.
No, it's just the right to vote because
right
you live in the country,
exactly.
or perhaps
exactly.
you have.
But in Ghana, you must be a Ghanaian, and you can attain your nationality through several ways: by birth, by naturalization, by foundling, and even by marriage. If you are a foreigner and you're married to a Ghanaian, then you register. You go to register to be accepted for you to be given the Ghanaian citizenship. You can vote in Ghana. So with dual citizenship, you are allowed to vote. And so let's find out whether these persons that they are complaining about don't have dual citizenship. Let's also find out whether or not one of their great grandfathers or grandfathers is not a Ghanaian. This is how you determine the citizenship of a Ghanaian, not by looking at comparing two registers. The register of Togo and the register of Ghana is not a source of nationality. So you don't use registers to determine. You go to the roots and find out those persons who have their names in Ghana, do they have one of their parents being a Ghanaian?
So you're saying that's what is absent in whatever presentations.
Yes, in what they did.
All right. At the end of the day, we've had concerns being raised by some spokespeople of the MPP or the other side of the argument that the EC seems to be crumbling or perhaps moving towards your argument, so to speak, to the dictates of your side of the argument.
I'm not aware. The EC has not spoken on this matter, so I'm not aware where you're getting this from. I know the EC wants to finish this debate and then come out with a firm position. I am not sure of what you are talking about. I don't know what you have seen, but so far the EC has not made comments on whether it will change the register or not. I've only seen an IEA comment, but that's not a comment coming from the EC. So I am unable to respond to what you are saying because I'm not aware of EC's comment on this matter.
All right. At the end of the day is that we need a certain consensus on what is agreeable and what is not agreeable. Now, you all agree that there's a problem with the register, but you only disagree with the mode by which we do the corrections.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You see, there's always going to be a division. Every decision leads to a division. Should I say that again? Every decision, you are talking about consensus, and I'm saying that every decision leads to a division.
Because there's a variance.
Because people hold different views. So even when you decide, even at home, when you take a decision at home, I'm sure some of your children would either go along with their mother or go along with you. So every decision leads to a decision. But I'm saying that after the decision has been made, which will lead to a division, those who have lost should compromise. That's what I'm saying. Else, we can't plunge this country into chaos. That is unacceptable.
But I don't think that you are thinking those who are
you can hear people swearing and talking about thunder and brimstone if their positions are not held. That's why I'm saying that we should compromise. If there's no new register, those who have lost should compromise. If there's a new register, those who have lost, that will be my party, should also compromise. This country is bigger than.
For example, the IEA recommendation says the Electoral Commission should demonstrate proactiveness and leadership on this important national issue.
The what?
IEA.
Who should?
They said the EC should demonstrate proactive.
The EC has demonstrated that, and one of the things the EC has done, and has done more than just one, is this forum that they are organizing. They first called for a petition. When the petition was given to the EC, they called for other views from the political parties. This is an EC that is proactive. The EC knows that there's more than one player in our electoral process. The MPP is not the only political party in our electoral process. So the EC then said that there are various interests. There's civil society, there's political parties, there are ordinary Ghanaians. All of you bring your proposals. That's an EC that is proactive. That's an EC that is committed to resolving the matter. So the EC is already proactive. I don't think that the IEA that will tell the EC to be proactive, yes.
At the end of the day, today is just the beginning of the many steps that the EC will take to make sure we come to a certain conclusion. If the EC should say we need to compile a new register, do you think we have the time for it?
You see, I don't want to be talking about these things and you accuse me again of saying that I know what the EC
Well, they'll be good for the sound bites. But Abraham Amaliba, who is aspiring member of parliament for Bolga Central, says this. And you're a member of the NDC's legal team too.
You see, the one reason that the IEA was trying to dispel and saying that we shouldn't use the lack of funds as a basis, it will be one of the reasons that will feed into the determination. Time will be one of it. And whether it is even necessary at all will be one of it. So all these are jigsaws that we'll have to look at, that we'll have to consider as an institution, whether or not we'll have to compile a new register. And whether it is even necessary at all, because there are reasons for the calling for a new register. Whether the new register will cure that mischief. The mischief that is being talked about, can the new register cure that mischief? All this will be taken into consideration. And I think that the EC will come out with a decision that will be acceptable to majority of Ghanaians, not all, the majority of Ghanaians.
Well, thank you very much, Abraham Amaliba. He's a member of the NDC's legal team, but he's aspiring member of parliament for Bolga Central. Currently, they are in the process, that's the NDC, of compiling or displaying a register they have compiled the last couple of weeks. And then subsequently, if they are satisfied, they should hold their primaries on the 7th of November 2015. And I'm sure here we'll bring you a lot more update on Joy News as well.